Hi, I'm Seamless, and this is the 16th 20K tutorial. This one was suggested by Reddit user Zbignevshabooty. Zbignevshabooty. Or something. And it is from a song by Mayhem Antiserum called Pakistan. And it's a 303 kind of thing. And I already kind of did one of these, but I decided I would do it a bit differently. The first one I did, I used Harmer. I actually tried to use Harmer here originally. But this one had a particular interesting edge to it. And it's the addition of RM to the signal. So the usual 303 kind of setup that I'm doing here is usually a saw wave with like a low pass filter on it with a huge resonance, humongous resonance, and then sharp as hell distortion. And then on top of that, and that creates 303-ishness. And it was cool for this sound, except that there's like you hear a kind of texture to the sound that's like you hear one octave, but there's the lower octaves character to it, and that's because of well, one way to accomplish that is for ring modulation. Ring modulation is called that because it is actually amplitude modulation in the sense that FM is frequency modulation, where we're modulating this pitch of one operator by the speed of another operator. We're modulating the amplitude instead, and it's called ring modulation because the original hardware configuration that accomplished this in old school synths was in the shape of a ring. The circuitry was in the shape of a ring to make this work. So in Citrus, there's actually an entire other matrix that's just for RM. It uses the same operators. There's still only 6 operators. So when you FM one operator by another, if you have RM also engaged, it will also RM, and likewise it will also FM if you have FM engaged on one of the other operators. So there's still 6 operators, but there's a whole other matrix just for FM. So what I'm doing here is I have a saw wave that is at the default ratio, which is 2, and then I have RM at a ratio below. But I am engaging differences. So instead of just RMing it with just a sine wave, I am doing it half. And the reason why I'm doing that is because RM, like the FM, is not max to min; it's max to negative max, which means that minimum, as in 0, is actually in the middle. So if I wanted it to actually be on off, as in on and then like alternating between on and off as opposed to on off and then on and off and on and off, then what I need to do is engage these options up here in the operator's waveform morphing window. And these options are half, which halves the waveforms, it offsets it up to the middle, and it basically just reverses the polarity of the negative oscillation in the period, and then even, where it doesn't actually do that. It'll just cut it and keep it in half. And there's another one called absolute, which does fun things. But anyway, these are all options that are designed to recreate the TX type waveforms in DX7 emulation, Yamaha DX7 emulation. And you'll find these kinds of waveforms in FM8. They're pretty obvious looking, like they look like that kind of thing. Like they're pretty clear cut. However, FM8, to my knowledge, doesn't have RM capabilities in general. But you can also do this sort of thing in massive. You can, in the mod oscillator, you select the ring, and then you target the oscillator that you want to ring modulate, and then you set it to an octave below that oscillator, and you'll get basically the same effect. And so I did that, put it out, and then I have just a fruity free filter set to low pass with a big old Q. And then a wave shaper with a big cuts and a small, and then this business over here. And what this does is it actually does a little bit of extraordinarily harsh transient shaping, and it creates additional pulse width, and it makes that sort of this sort of relationship of having space created by the ring modulation amplified a bit by the wave shaping. So you can kind of play around with that to arrive at a place that you think sounds good. Same thing with the filter. The Q value in the low pass, like actual cutoff. There's a very wide range of actual like sound capabilities, so it's to your taste to set it up. And then I also put an EQ on it, and then I high pass the low end. The sound itself is actually being played higher than the actual bass tone. That low note is actually the usual bass area, and if you listen to the song in question in the original link in the description, you'll hear that there's very clearly a sub thing going on beneath it, because the sub doesn't even follow the rhythm of the top mid, bass sound, the 303-ish kind of thing. So this is very much designed to have a sub reinforced sine wave beneath it. Then there's reverb, because there's reverb in the original, so I put a reverb. That's pretty much it. I'll put this FLP up. You guys can screw around with it, and then I'm moving on. Yeah. Having fun.